this out, right? Look at this chart right here, right? So I found that on the internet the other day with a slew of other data that just shows exactly some of the downward spirals that our country is going through, right? So what that chart is really saying is that they asked a ton of businesses, sadly small businesses, where they are and where they think they'll be within the coming months. Now, that chart is based on a previous, statistical, um, area or whatnot. But if we look at the dates on it, I believe that was July of 25 or August of 25. I'm sorry. We're now in January, and we can see that in January things have really hit close to home for a lot of people, especially small businesses. And again, sadly, a lot of those statistics are based on small businesses. So when I asked them, it says, well, where do you think you'll be in 6 months? And a lot of them said, I'm going to have to increase prices just to stay afloat. A lot of them said, well, I'm going to have to lay off just to keep our budget and our balances, in a comfortable position to function, to run, Some of them said, hey, I don't even know if I'm going to have my doors open in 6 months, 8 months. I mean, look at the farmers. I mean, that's a whole other topic, but there's a slew of stories of farmers who had to sell their farms, or they went into bankruptcy, or different things like that. And again, I could go on about that, but just to give you an idea, right? And let's think about some of these people that lost their jobs. I read in an article the other day where a lot of these people were 45, 50 years old, seasoned workers, worked for a lot of these Fortune 500 companies, and what are they going to do? And that was the argument that I would hear, or some of what I've seen as I did my research on that. What are they going to do? Where are they going to go? If that's all they've known for 25 years, 15 years, however long, still, it hit close to home. And in terms of laying off, we've heard the stories. These massive companies are laying off people in droves. Plants are closing in droves. What are they going to do? What about the small towns where all they have is the small factory, and that factory can't stay afloat because they can't afford the tariffs? Let's think about that for a second, folks. This is what I mean about educating ourselves. We have to pay attention to what's going on so we understand how it affects not just big business, small business, but us, the little people, who make this country go around every day. These are things to think about, and again, your vote matters if you vote the right way. Too many people are voting based on emotion. I called this past election the emotional election. It wasn't based on numbers. It wasn't based on statistics. It felt like a football game, and people were voting for what was important to them. Now, if I'm touching on, again, briefly on Donald Trump, right? I don't fully disagree with everything that he's doing. I don't fully disagree with the tariffs, right? But there's a way that you handle things. There's a way that you handle business. You have to be preemptive about it. It shouldn't be emotional, and I think Donald Trump moved on his emotions, if that makes sense. Sure, he's been in business for 40, 50 years, but that doesn't necessarily make you a successful businessman. I'm sure he's had success in his business at some point in some place, right? But I mean, I'm getting all serious on you guys, but just being, but for real though, being serious though, right? I mean, if we're talking about being great at business and being an amazing businessman, I mean, he's kind of dropped the ball. I think about tariffs, and I'll leave this alone after this, right? Here's the thing. I do believe that we have to keep up with inflation. Inflation has to keep up with us, right? And if you're going to increase numbers on trade, you're going to increase percentages on products and services. It should be a gradual thing because it gives the economy time to catch up. It gives us, the people, the consumer, time to catch up, where we don't have to make rash decisions on if we're going to pay our mortgage on time, or if we're going to pay our light bill on time, or if we're going to get that new pair of shoes that our kid needs at the time for school or whatever it is. Things should be thoroughly thought through, but it's not Donald Trump. But hey, again, that's another story for another topic. But anyway, leave a comment in the section. Let me know what you guys think. It's your boy Kaz with Taboo Topics. For sure.